In the age of home studios, we can make great sounding records in our own bedrooms. We are no longer dependent on those big studios to capture great sounding guitars, bass or drums. Pretty much for the most part, we don't even have to care whether our rooms are treated and sound great, or they're a polar opposite of that and completely trash. Unfortunately, there is just this one thing that you can't really de-eye, and as some people claim, it happens to be one of the most important parts of your production. Your vocals. Vocal recordings happen to be more difficult to produce and mix than DI, guitars, bass, or sampled drums. Maybe even you have tried recording your own vocals at home and were kind of disappointed in the result, because I know I have in the past. So in case you have, don't worry, because in this video I will show you a foolproof way to get good sounding vocals in your home studio. Okay, so let's get right into it. Your vocals don't sound good because of a few reasons. Bad performance, wrong mic choice, bad room acoustics, poor arrangement, bad or no editing, and poor mixing. As you can see, there is a whole bunch of places where you can screw up at, right? In my opinion, vocals are the most difficult to fix in the mix. You can kind of do it with guitars and bass, recorded drums, but vocals, not really. Okay, so let's tackle the first point, the bad performance. Here's the deal. If your singer is really bad, they have a bad tone or bad placement, they can only get rid of it with more and more practice, right? But you're not going to delay your session because of that. There are things you can do to make your singer perform better in the studio. When I record myself, I use a light on the CPU but effective vocal chain that allows me to hear my voice as if it was mixed in the actual song. I use a decent chunk of compression, some tuning, some EQ and some spatial effects. I personally find that I sing much better when I hear myself through a mixed monitoring chain compared to a completely raw monitoring chain. A huge, and I mean it, a huge game changer was actually introducing a real-time pitch correction plugin in my monitoring chain. That is because when I actually hear tuned vocals in my ear, I sing less pitchy. It's like a feedback loop. My mind hears the dissonance between the vocals I hear from the room and what I hear in my headphones, and it subconsciously adjusts to what I can hear. So even if you're against vocal tuning, pitch correction, auto-tune, whatever, please just try it. It's gonna make you sing better. Like actually record it, then mute the auto-tune or whatever and just hear yourself that you're actually more on pitch. By the way, Aurora just released their new plugin, which has real-time tuning, so you might want to check it out. No pressure. Okay, the second point, the wrong mic. Listen, I truly believe that you can get really solid vocals with pretty much any mic. There are people recording with iPhone mics, for the love of God, and they actually sound great. So by no means necessary I'm saying that you should spend thousands of dollars chasing the perfect mic because someone else is using the U87 or whatever and you should have the U87. You can get really great vocals with really cheap mics. But in my opinion, the further you get from your desired sound in the recording process, the more work you have to do afterwards, and we are trying to minimize that. So if you have a choice, experiment with different mics, okay? Maybe you have a couple of mics, maybe your friend has one, borrow, shoot out, pick whatever works with your voice. Also keep in mind that the most expensive mic is often not the answer, okay? I have mixed records when the singer sent me tracks tracked through a Manly reference and an SM7B, which is like a huge difference in price, and the SM7B just sounded better. So if you can, do a blind test between those mics that you have, just so you don't have any other influence than the sound. Often there will be the case that dynamic mics will be darker and they will pick up less room reflections, which might be good for a mediocre sounding room, but don't expect, I have to say this, don't expect your dynamic mics to fix your room, because that is not the case, definitely. And condenser mics will sound maybe brighter with more details. So for some vocals this will work and some vocals this will work. You kind of want to balance your vocals. Like if you have very dark vocals, maybe use a condenser, a brighter sounding one, and vice versa. And I have to say, while you're at it, always use a pop filter, okay? Some mics might say that they have a built-in pop filter. Just use an external one, please. So that's a nice segue into bad room acoustics, which is a point number 3, I think. In my opinion, here lies the biggest issue with most home studios. A lot of home studios have really nasty early reflections that will be very present in the vocal recordings if you don't do anything with the room acoustics. To combat that, you want to use some acoustic treatment to limit the reflections, okay? I recommend placing some panels behind the mic, on the sides of the mic, behind the singer, that is very important. And if you can, on the top, above the mic, and maybe use a carpet. If you are limited on what panels you can use, I would say that panels behind the singer are more important than the ones behind the microphone, because the microphone is actually hearing from the side of the singer. So if you have reflections coming in from there, you want to treat those first, okay? But don't take that as gospel, okay? I've definitely recorded vocals in this very room where I had to experiment with the panel placement, and you know, it just sounded better when I did something not according to the norm, okay? So experiment, improvise, adapt, overcome, as the great Bear Grylls once said. And a very important point is, if you don't have, you know, pre-built acoustic panels, if you only have pillows, mattresses, don't talk yourself out of recording, okay? Make music. You know, if you have to DIY your stuff, just do it. It's better to record and improve upon that than not record and wait until you have the perfect setup. That is never the answer, okay? Point number, whatever, poor arrangement. A bad choice of vocal layers will absolutely shoot you in the knee. A great way to prevent this is to map out your harmonies and your layers ahead of time. So for that, you want to use a synth like a piano VST plugin, map out everything in MIDI, or just play it in your instrument of choice, for example, a guitar. Just layer that in, throw that into the DAW, and see if it works with your song. If it sounds like it's a part of the song, ask yourself some questions. Do the harmonies sound like an overdone mess, like this just absolute swarm of nonsense music? Or do they actually support the main melody, don't clash with the chords you have underneath the actual song? Because they might sound in key, but they might create some weird dissonances between the chords and with each other, and actually ruin the tension and release thing that you're trying to build. So a good measure is to stick to like very basic harmonies at first, you know, a third above, below, fifth above, below. Those are usually pretty safe, you know, maybe some octaves, and see how that works. Editing, oh boy. Okay, so after you're done recording, you cannot just drop your vocals into your DAW and mix them into your final productions, okay? Please don't do that. A quick checklist for your editing purposes is, first of all, your vocals probably need time alignment. You have multiple layers, they don't match, you have a absolute mess of vocals, you need to align them. You can use it either by hand, or you can use a vocal alignment software. Use a vocal alignment software, okay? It's going to save you hours of your day. You can use Vocaline or SyncVX, whatever. Second of all, take the vocals and actually time align them to the actual song, so they don't rush, don't drag, they don't take away the energy of the actual song. Strip silence your vocals, okay? Mouth noises, anything that isn't part of your performance, cut it out. A certified home recording classic is mouse clicks. You know, you have a stack of vocal layers and then just a bazillion of mouse clicks because someone is stopping the recording and didn't cut it out. I know some of you despise tuning vocals, you think that's cheating and all of that, but hear me out, for some genres it is necessary. Even though you might actually have a real-time tuning plugin later in your chain, like the one in Banshee Pro, by the way, I still do recommend going over the entire thing with a manual tuning plugin like Melodyne or Wavestune or whatever, just to get those big moves out of the way and not have the manual tuning plugin have to work as hard and have it sound fake because of that. You might be waiting for the last point, mixing mistakes, but instead of showing you the mixing mistakes, I would just show you how to mix your vocals. Yes, this is my vocal booth. As you can see, I am using 3 panels around the mic. On this wall I have 1 panel, on the ceiling I have a cloud panel. That is pretty much it. This is how I record vocals in this room. I have my own condenser mic. I have already shut it out against my dynamic. Obviously I am using a pop filter. That is it. Now I am going to track some vocals. Raz, dwa, trzy, ej! come to peace with a thought I seem to know. So first of all, as I shown in the video previously, I have sketched out the melodies that I was going to record. And then I used this as a guide for tracking. So when I was singing the song, I was actually hearing the melody. So this is these are the raw files.
The haunting side of what I could have been.
So I tracked the main melody.
The haunting side of what I could have been.
A double.
The haunting side of what I could.
I tried to sing it the same. It's just to thicken the main vocal. So when you're tracking, it's a good idea to track a double, the exact same thing you're singing as the main melody. Then I double tracked a harmony. I think it's a fourth below the main melody.
The haunting side of what I could have been.
This is untuned, nothing. So, and I'm not a very good singer at all. So don't judge me.
The haunting side of what I could.
But it does add some dimension, doesn't it?
I seem to know.
And then I added a drone note. So when the melody jumps up and down, the drone note is usually the first degree of the scale just sung at the same time.
Inside of what I could have been.
It sounds funny, but it does add a really nice tension. And then I made a fake choir.
It all disappears when you go.
I made this just by singing the lines with different in different styles, standing in different parts of the room, and then just tracking this multiple times. Okay, let's close this tracking project and jump into the actual thing, and I will actually finally let you hear how it came out.
Inside of what I could have been, remains inside, it's burning in my arteries. I come to peace with a thought I seem to know. It all disappears when you go. It all disappears when you go. It all disappears when you go.
Okay, so every track is processed only using Banshee. Let's see what we're doing over here. So, Banshee offers really cool character presets, which are, in my opinion, I think like preamp models or something that takes place of a preamp model. Some of them sound more bright, a little bit warmer. I like the B character to go with this mic. This is a very cool thing because you can kind of offset your mic just a little bit. Or you can do flat gating this, not using any auto-tune because any of the tuning problems were taken out by manually tuning the vocals. I don't want to tune them too hard or use like very aggressive tuning. I'm using a de-esser. So if you don't know what a de-esser is like a multiband compressor that just compresses the high end and takes out the S sounds. If you have your S's too loud, the vocal is not going to sit in the mix. It's just going to jump out, sound very unnatural. So dynamics, the most important part of mixing vocals is compressing them, and Aurora have modeled two classic compressors that are sort of a industry standard, which is the 76 and a 2A type compressors. Pretty much almost every album that you've listened to has these two on vocals. So I'm using these settings. I found that this is more supposed to, the 76 style compressor is supposed to take out, to level out the vocals at first, and then you do a big move with a slower, more melodic 2A compressor.
I come to peace with a thought I seem to know. It all disappears when you go.
You can hear that the vocal is very saturated, and that's thanks to this panel, which I really love. You can dial in different types of saturation, tube, transistor, tape, all of that good stuff. And I'm using the first model, just a little bit of drive, decreasing the amount. You can pick the frequency spectrum you're distorting. I have picked the entire spectrum because I like the low end grit it creates, but if you don't like to distort the low end of the vocals, you can just make this like this. I am blending in 45%. This is the EQ I'm using, so what I like to do, this is a low cut at 185, so just below the lowest note. For male vocals, I find that usually there is nothing interesting below like 200. Cutting some mids, just a little bit, 5 dB off at 600. It was like a nasty boxy frequency that I didn't like. I have reduced a little bit of the presence frequency, so at 2K, you have this very spiky frequency that on the vocals your ear is very used to and very sensitive to. If you have too much of it, your vocals are going to sound harsh. Because of the distortion, the preamp model and the mic, I had a little bit too much. I reduced it. And then I low passed the vocals pretty aggressively at 11K with like 18 dB per octave. If I saw that and I didn't hear the vocal, I would say that it's too much, but it didn't sound too much. I like my vocals to be a little bit darker anyway. Too bright of a vocal recording will sound out of place and not fit in the mix. What I find it is a good idea is to try and match the high end and the S's of the vocals to the actual cymbals of your mix, so they want to be similarly as bright and similarly as loud as the cymbals. Then it's going to actually sound like a cohesive one thing and not, you know, vocals on top of the mix. I'm not using any doublers, bit of chorus. I come to peace with just a bit wider. A little bit of a type delay because I like the degradation of subsequent hits of the delay. I like using the tape model. Just a little bit. I come to peace with a thought I seem. You can barely hear it, but it does add this nice trail. And I'm using the two reverbs that are modeled in here. So the room reverb is basically stock. I think I just changed the amount, and the plate reverb. I come to peace with a thought I seem to know. I think I didn't do anything to those settings. They sounded perfect for the mix. Another de-esser at the end is a very nice touch. I really like that because through all of the processing, brightening the vocal, compressing it and all of that, you're going to get a lot of the S's back in. So it's nice to cut them back out with a de-esser at the very end. I'm widening the vocal at the end just a little bit. And then limiting. A limiter is a really cool feature because when you limit the vocals, they suddenly sit better in the mix. That's really cool. So that's the main vocal. I am doing some cool other stuff on the dub. I think the processing itself, it's the same, but I'm using the doubler and I'm not using any of the direct signal. So it sounds super wide and it has no center channel. And I am blending that in with the main vocal. Peace with a thought I seem to know. That way you get this side channel that is not messing with the main channel because it's a different take. I think I learned that from Joey Sturgis on one of his Nail the Mix sessions. That was sick. 2 harmonies below. It all disappears when you go. It all disappears when you go. Nothing to say. I think I didn't change the processing, and the drone note, same processing as the main vocal. It all disappears when you go. It sounds goofy, but it all disappears when you go. It's like a really nice vocal stack. The fake choir, if you're interested, it's not processed with Aurora plugins, unfortunately. It all disappears when you go. Softened by Sonox, it's like a spectral taming EQ. Silk vocal. Generally, it's created a lot of like spiky resonances that I didn't like, so I had to use these 2 plugins. Some EQ again. High passing and low passing, even lower of a low pass over here. Then on the Banshee plugin, some parallel processing, so very aggressive compression and then just blended it in, limiting, and a reverb. So it sounds like a group of dudes singing their hearts out in a big room.
It all disappears when you go.
When you listen to it up close, you can kind of tell that it's the same guy just singing the same thing multiple times, but then when you blended it with the main vocal,
It all disappears when you go.
I mean, I think it sounds cool, so yeah, that's it. So that's a couple of tips on how to mix your vocals and have them sound cool. Okay, damn, that was one of the most extensive videos I've done in a while, wasn't it? But I do think it was worth it. So, boys and girls, now that you have your entire blueprint for making sick sounding vocals at home, go make your music. And I swear to God, if I hear unedited vocals one more time, I'm gonna come to your house. That's it for today. Grab a trial of Banshee Pro, go mix your vocals, go make your music, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff to keep this YouTube channel going. If you wanna hear some specific videos in the future, let me know in the comments and see you in the next one. Peace.